Fake Jake doesn't do any research. His research is watching other people's work, and he just repackages it just like Wimpy Weiss. So he tries to debunk the biblical flat earth, the circling sun. And this is from a video from back in 2015 that a Glober make that he took as his own, banking on the gullible followers not knowing this.
So this is a lie from Russian Vids, aka They Live Truth. He really doesn't have much truth, but he definitely does lie a lot. This image you see on screen, I created myself in the UDoodle app on my iPhone. I took the AE map, I put it in the UDoodle app, and then I drew with my finger on my phone screen that yellow arrow and that red circle, which is why it is so imperfect looking, because I drew it with my finger. Russian Vids wants to tell you that I stole that from a Glober, when I indeed created that graphic 100% myself and did not steal it from anyone.
But there was a guy on YouTube back in 2015, 2016, talking about how the sun basically from Australia goes southeast or southwest, and it cannot be a circling sun, in which I've demonstrated, and I've had nobody debunk this.
Okay, every bit of what he just said is wrong and a lie. I, again, took the AE map, which I did not create the AE map, but I put it into UDoodle, and I put the arrow and that circle on that map. I did that because I made a video called The End of the Fake Flat Earth, and I made that video in 2017. In that video, it features two real observers, one in Southern Australia and the other in Tasmania, both of them getting compass readings from the sun going down, and it doesn't match the circle pattern, which is why I drew that arrow and made that diagram, was to show that the sun was coming up from the southeast and setting to the southwest, which is the opposite direction of the supposed circling sun.
And like I showed my last video with Dell, how the tropical zone, and this is obviously the fake phony globe model, but basically the equatorial region, how the sun runs through it. And obviously it works perfectly, you know, with coconut trees, any type of tropical plants that only grow in this region. That proves right there.
So RV at this point whips out an elongated globe, and then he talks about that red tropical region in the middle being a good place for coconuts to grow, and he thinks that is sufficient proof for the sun going around in a circle over the pizza pie map. This is not proof of anything except that RV is a moron.
The heat alone proves the circling sun. And you can look at the sun and, oh, it does this, it does that. But the heat alone proves it between the sun that circles above, between the two tropics of Cancer, and obviously the equatorial region. So I've heard people dispute this, but no one's made a video debunking this because it can't be debunked. Now let's take a look here again at the biblical truth that not only is in the Bible, of course, it's going to be proven in the real world without a shadow of a doubt.
I want to bet your circumcised wiener. It is not.
From Psalm 19:6, his going forth, this is regarding the sun, is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit, of course, the circuit goes around unto the ends of it.
So, the ends of the heaven, and it's doing a circuit. So that means it's like a racetrack. Does it have a start and a finish line?
And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof.
Oh, nothing can hide from its heat. Okay. In your biblical model, the sun is like 3,000 kilometers up or 3,000 miles. And it's logic. The closer you get to the sun, the more heat you feel. Mount Everest, temperatures on 8,850 meters. Oh look, minus 31. Oh wow. Oh, let me put it on Fahrenheit and feet, so your retard can understand what I show. Look at those temperatures. It's very cold on this elevation, 29,000 feet. So now let's move further away from the sun. Oh, here in Kathmandu, on 1400 meters above sea level, 16 degrees. Oh look, next week, 27 degrees. Amazing. Like 25,000 feet more distance to the sun. So that means the further away you get from the sun, the warmer it becomes. Moron.
And that gets into all the models. Doesn't matter if it's globe.
Yeah, right. On a globe, this heat of the sun have to pass through a 90 kilometer thick cold freezing layer with temperatures between 0 and minus 90 degrees Celsius, and then end up as heat again on sea level. Your model is just as retarded, piece of shit.
Or the flat earth model. A lot of the AE map quote debunkers love to talk about light, sunlight, the sun, and how it works above the flat earth.
Yeah, a lot of morons claim to know how it works, including you, piece of shit.
And this is basically how it works. Where again, as you can see, obviously how the sun circles.
So all you did is an observation on some cartoon and telling people the sun is doing circles. Are you stupid or so?
Over the flat earth model. And I showed this model many times in the past.
Yeah, and I show many times in the past it don't work if you use our observations and the data, piece of shit.
QNFE is 100% right. RV did nothing but show a CGI rendering of the AE map with a circling sun. It's literally a cartoon, and he's saying this cartoon proves the circling sun path. No, it does not. RV didn't do any observations or any scientific experiments whatsoever. He didn't visit any of the scientific websites which tell you where the sun is going to rise and where it's going to set for every location. Instead, he relies solely on a cartoon, and then he tells his audience that the cartoon proves circle sun and the Bible. RV also claims that this information has never been debunked. That is a bold-faced lie, because my video from back in 2017 called The End of the Fake Flat Earth is a debunk of the AE map and the circular path. QNFE, who was featured earlier in this video, has debunked Russian vids in the past, as well as every other flat earther who ever shot their mouth off with a bunch of nonsense, and he's done it hundreds of times. If you go to the website suncalc.org, you can see where the sun is going to rise and set for any location on any date. So if you drag your cursor to the southernmost tip of South America and you pop in the date December 21st, you'll see that the sunrise and sunset angles are coming from the south, and that doesn't match the circling sun pattern on the AE map. And if you put it side by side, you'll see the sun is basically coming up from the ice wall and setting towards the ice wall, and we all know that doesn't make any sense. So I'm issuing an open challenge to RV Russian Vids, They Live Truth, to try and prove that those angles that suncalc.org lists for December 21st in all of the locations south of the equator that don't match the circling sun path, I'm challenging you to prove that the website's wrong. Do some sort of observation or experiment. You can have your subs do it. Have them point a compass at the sun when it rises, when it sets. If you can have somebody who lives in Ushuaia point a compass at the sun when it rises and when it sets, you'll see it's coming up from the southeast and setting to the southwest, which does not match the circling sun path which you present. So I am challenging not only you, but anyone who doesn't believe this info is true to try and prove it wrong. And I also am throwing out another challenge for the flat earth equinox. I'm challenging RV, Eric Dubay, Jeranism, David Weiss, all the flat earth controlled opposition agents. I am challenging every one of them to try and prove how a flat earth equinox works when the sun is going to be coming up from 90 degrees east for everybody at the same time on the same longitude. So on this same line of longitude, for instance, you're going to have the sun coming up from 90 degrees east, and you would have to have, in this instance, multiple suns coming up in multiple locations at the exact same time to make it work. These angles at which the sun rises and sets do not triangulate. So if these angles do not triangulate back to one circling sun, which should be on the equator, because according to RV's model, Eric Dubay's model, David Weiss's model, Jeranism's model, you name it, according to the AE map on the equinox, which is September 22nd, the sun will be on the equator, going around in a circle. So, how come everybody from the southern tip of South America to those in the United States, to those in Canada, how come everybody is seeing the sun come up from 90 degrees east and set directly to the west? So I challenge anyone to prove how the flat earth AE map equinox works with only one circling sun. This last message is for Mr. Russian Vids himself. You have officially been debunked again, and it won't be the last time.